Good evening and welcome to Join Caucus. My name is Evans Mensah. Tonight on the show, lives are at stake. I'm talking about the doctors' strike. The doctors are on strike, the pharmacists are on strike as well. Tonight, some good news came through from a meeting that the doctors attended together with the government and the TUC. We understand they've called the truce, but it has to do with the media battle that ensued 2 days ago between the doctors and government. They will hold off and pull away from any public confrontation on the matter. And they've committed to go back to the negotiation table to deal with the key issues that indeed triggered the strike. Is this enough? What about the posture government adopted? Some have called it too confrontational, making the matter worse instead of trying to deal with the substantive issues. But if indeed the doctor strike is illegal, say so. Does it really matter how you put it? If indeed the law had been violated, is it really true that the law was violated when the doctors went on strike? We will look at that here on Join Caucus. Then also tonight, we just learned from the NDC that the NPP indeed has submitted boxes of documents, talking about the affidavits, in respecting the Supreme Court's ruling, for them to submit these documents so that it will give the respondents the opportunity to respond in time for Tuesday's almighty showdown at the Supreme Court. But realistically, between now and Tuesday, the petitioners and the respondents, the petitioners, of course, have done what they have to do, but is it realistic to expect that with the time available, the respondents will be able to put together an appropriate response? Because we're talking about boxes of documents, in excess of 13 boxes, huge documents you're talking about here, and they have to peruse through the documents and respond. Is the time enough? And what can we expect on Tuesday? And if the EC has already said, they had gone to court, remember, this week, asking the court to give them more time. The court said no. But is the court being realistic? We know justice, they say, delayed is justice denied, and so the court wants us dealt with expeditiously. Of course, we're looking at Kenya as well, but we'll be asking the questions. I've been joined by a stalwart in the NPP, the chairman of the NPP Constitutional Committee, former Attorney General, Lawyer Yiko, to thank you very much, sir, for your time. We're expecting Chris Akume to join us. He is a member of the NDC legal team here in the studio to look at the many issues here. As we always say, we are proudly partisan, but looking at the issues really that matter as far as the doctors and the Supreme Court case is concerned. As we wait for Chris Akume to join us, I will start with Mr. Yuko with the doctors' strike, because it's the one that most people are talking about. It affects lives. We heard about a truce that was called tonight. Should we have waited to come this far, where lives really are at stake, or should it have been dealt with urgently when we saw the first signals that this was going to happen?
Well, thank you. We as the MPP, as a party, had always spoken about this idea of propaganda, and that if we spend too much time on propaganda, we sometimes miss the point. You do recall that the party issued a statement calling upon the doctors to rescind their decision and go back to work. I mean, that is what everybody should be looking forward to, because lives are at stake. Rather, we had a confrontational position being taken by government and its spokespersons, and trying to downplay the role of the doctors, and some even saying that they don't matter when it comes to deciding on the premium and things like that. It doesn't really matter, and the premium is not negotiable and all that. If you do things like that, you are endangering the lives of quite a number of people who may fall sick within this period. And the best thing for government to have done all along is to have engaged them. We all know that the strikes for essential workers, generally are, outlawed because of the dire consequences that they will have on human life. And therefore, it is not the best, and they themselves are not supposed to be doing what they are doing. But it's happened. Once it happens, then you find a way of resolving the conflicts, finding a middle course one way or the other. Of course, when we hear of government saying that it is broke and that there's no money, they cannot pay, just oppose that with the payments that have been made to the politicians, if you like, the parliamentarians. It also, raises eyebrows. I mean, look at the issue of the road contractors and the rest claiming also that they've not been paid. And we all know that you can't use your resources to build roads or construct roads. You need to go for loans. And if these loans continue to pile on interest, and government is saying, we won't pay you today, we won't pay you tomorrow because we don't have the money. How come that they are able to manage to find money for other, sources? So if you put all of them together, including this inauguration of a 5-member committee to go buildings, whatever projects and all that, where are they going to find the money to do that? If you put all these things together, then of course we are talking to some of the very intelligent people in society, doctors. If you know, I mean, you just don't get up and go to a medical school. You've got to be very good. Your grades should be quite high, to be accepted to read medicine in the first place. And so we are dealing with very intelligent members of society, and we try to treat them as if they are, nobodies in society. Why is it only now that government has found the need to call them, engage them, and say, don't talk to the press anymore? They were going to the press, talking, and therefore the press, in order to be seen to be fair, would also call the doctors to find out, look, this is what government is saying, what is your viewpoint on the matter? So if government was not engaging it, I don't think that the press would necessarily even have the chance to be calling or the need to be calling on them to also hear their side of the story. So if government says they've called a truce, they don't want to talk to the press anymore, they think that this is they need to, calm nerves and come together and find a way out. I think that it is the best thing for them to have done in the circumstances. Again, you're going back to this single spine business. It was the baby of the MPP.
So maybe you caused trouble.
We did not implement it because we saw the difficulties involved. And then you came and started with the implementation with the policemen, told everybody the best thing that has happened to policemen, ordinary policemen, is to get about 5, 7, 6,000 in his pocket or 10, and there was so much noise. We've done so well. If you've done so well, then if equal pay should go for equal, work, equal work goes with equal pay, then those who are in similar circumstances will also be asking and clamoring for it. So I think the hype and the propaganda when it came to implementing this thing was just too much. And so now people are saying, give us our due. And why are you now complaining?
Let's look at government posture. Government posture has been borne out, has been predicated on this statement that it's illegal. The strike is illegal.
Yes.
If you look at our labor laws, that is true, some have argued, and state it. You don't have to, paraphrase it or try and make it sound, palatable because you're dealing with doctors. If it's illegal, it's illegal.
It's always been the case. I mean, essential workers are not supposed to go on strike. It's always been. It's been illegal. But what we've seen in practice is that, for all you know, they do go on strike because they have the negotiating power. They also negotiate. And if you go negotiate with somebody, you expect that in good faith, having negotiated, the conclusions that are reached would be carried to fruition. And if they don't, materialize, then you notify the authorities that, look, if you don't do ABC, this is what we intend to do. And from what I've monitored, they did inform government that, and the Fair Wages, Commission and all that if they don't come on board, they intend to go on strike. Why did we allow it to get to that, the extent?
But to be fair to government had not said they won't pay. They said, we will pay you, but we'll pay you in installments.
Yes, and they are saying that we've had this far too long. It's been the modus operandi. You always tell us this is what you intend to do. When the time comes, you don't do it. You always fail in your promises. And we are saying that we are looking at other things at other things, including their pension. And that if these things are worked, they will have effect on their pensions and all that. They are also workers, they are human beings, they are Ghanaians, they are brothers and sisters in the society, they have relatives in the society. So they feel just like anyone else. We all go to the market, we know the inflationary trends, the stories about, I think single spine is now dying down because it's clear that it is not realistic. It's not true. If you have a basket which does not contain some of the things which indeed would impinge on inflation, and you put other things inside and tell us that it is single spine, when you know very well that the prices of cement and other things which are not in that basket, once they are brought on board, they will change the figure. Then why do we keep to that single spine fooling ourselves and playing the ostrich? So in fact, they feel it. They are also feeling the pitch, and they are saying, let us have this thing done once and for all. And the timing of the payment to the parliamentarians has been a huge problem.
What would you say if I say that you're in court right now challenging the outcome of the elections in your constituency? You would have been in parliament by now. Maybe you would have been in line to benefit.
Well, the point is somebody decides when these things ought to be paid. We are being told that the arrears even from 2009 to present and all that. So why decide to pay now when there are others who are also agitating and you are asking them to hold on?
Well, this is what the parliamentarians have said. Last week, I hosted Ajima Menu and the Rashid Popo, and they were quite blatant here in stating that they basically hand-twisted the government into saying, if you do not pay us, we are not going to pass your budget. And government was forced to give them. So essentially, that's what happened. That's why government had to pay.
Then in the same way, the doctors are saying, you don't pay us, we are also going to ensure that lives will be lost. I mean, that is the bottom line. When doctors go on strike, people die. Because there are a lot of things that doctors can do, giving injection here and there, doing some suturing here and there, going to the theater, and we could easily save lives. So they are also saying that, well, if this is the kind of government you want to run, where you cannot ensure the health of your people, so be it. So why do we wait? That's the issue. Why should we wait to get to the strike phenomenon before we react? Why are they now being called?
In fairness, it's always been the case, whether it's MPP or NDC, that the strike happens and then government starts running around trying to solve it. Long term, though, how do we deal with this substantively?
You see, I thought the whole idea of the Fair Wages Commission was to get to, deal with some of these things. And the idea of the Labour Commission, to act as arbiters to ensure that where there are labour problems, there is some oversight commission which can deal with the issue and come out with a ruling one way or the other. But listening to the chairman of the commission, it appeared that the doctors had to fight with the Fair Wages Commission for a very long time without involving the Labour Commission. Because it was, if I heard him right, last week's Saturday or so, he was saying that, well, now that things have gotten to where they've gotten to, they may have to call them for some compulsory arbitration and ensure that a ruling is given. But they are saying that they have earlier gone for that kind of compulsory arbitration. The ruling has been given and government has reneged on it.
Because they don't have money.
Well, then let it be flat. Let us don't feel that others are being treated differently. If you look at the Article 70 of our Constitution, we don't like discrimination and giving different treatment to different people. We should all be seen to be one. So if there's no money, there should be no money for everybody. There shouldn't be the impression being created that for others, we can find the money. But when it comes to doctors and the rest, we do not. But you see, all these propaganda things that we keep on talking about, sometimes they are downplayed. Before the elections, we were told that, look, we're going to keep within our means, we are not going to overspend, and there's no way we overspend. What happened? At the end of the day, we saw how they've overshot it by 12% of GDP, real controls over the spending. And even when you start talking about it, they've tried to find a reason. Oh, government machinery is more than what and what. So where did you get the money from to spend? You know, and that is what the effect we are having now. Now they are trying to find a reason that it is single spine. But we know what happened in December.
So your diagnosis is the poor running of the economy that has led us to this point.
Exactly, and the overspending, the kind of vote buying and voter treatment and things that went on, cars being bought for people and the rest. I mean, we are in this country.
Thankfully, I have been joined by Chris Akumi on the line. He's a member of the NDC legal team. Thank you, sir, for your time here on Join Caucus. I don't know if you picked up a bit on the last comments of your colleague, lawyer, the former Attorney General Iko, to his point essentially is that we are talking about the strike by the doctors. Indeed, what have been called the crisis on the labor front. It says essentially your inability to pay is because you've poorly managed the economy. You've spent in areas that, you know, cannot be considered as priority, buying cars, etc. And that's why we are where we are. Is that true?
Thank you. I must apologize to our listeners for my inability to be there. I mean, so I'm so sorry about that. But then I'm surprised that my learned senior and very, very good friend is reducing such a very important issue to such a very simple level, attributing a national strike, which is due to overambition of, professionals to rating or to taking more than they are entitled to the issue of buying of cars and doing this and doing that. I mean, I'm just very surprised. I think the issue is that we are indisciplined. We are getting indisciplined day in, day out. Because, I mean, labor agitation, labor unrest are nothing new to this country or any other country. But that it is how it is controlled. We have a system where we have an instance where we are not allowing the institutions to function in order to straighten or have labor arrests sorted out and that sort of thing. To the extent that we are using provision of essential services as a kind of a weapon to threaten and blackmail the central government authority into conceding into, uncontrolled demands. This is more of the problem than what my learned friend and senior is talking about. For example, we have the National Labor Commission, and we have the laws governing labor unrest and settlement and arbitration. Must be adhered to. In this instant case, where we have doctors on strike or still on strike, there's a ruling that whatever the allowances are should be paid to them in three tranches, which the government has agreed to. So is there any cause to go on strike? Is there any cause to go on this kind of labor unrest? Is there any reason to continue to deprive Ghanaians of health facilities and their entitlements under the Constitution? No, there is no point for it. So you can think more discipline, indiscipline, and there could be other reasons. You can see that people are, masquerading under these professional bodies. Politicians are masquerading under this body to push this kind of agenda to as if they want, like they said, they want to make this nation ungovernable. If the nation is ungovernable, who suffers? All of us.
I wonder if you have any evidence to back that, though.
Oh, you have not heard, are you saying that you have not heard politicians, especially of the NPP talking about, making the country ungovernable?
What I've heard them say this week is they've issued a statement asking the doctors to return, pleading with them to return to work.
Oh, I think that it's a kind of, in all sincerity, when I listened to the statement, I applauded them. But then the question is that, was it sincere? It wasn't sincere. It's something like a facade You understand me? It was a very sincere statement from the bottom of their heart. But then they want to make themselves look credible to Ghanaians as if they are not part of this effort to create another mayhem in the country. Like somebody rightly put it this afternoon, a refined way of bomb throwing and killing of innocent Ghanaians.
So clearly you're of the school of thought, because I've heard that also, that these strikes you're seeing, possibly they are political elements, specifically from the NPP behind them.
Come again, please.
I'm saying, clearly, you're of the school of thought that have said, and I've heard this, this put out there also in this discussion about the crisis on the labor front.
We cannot rule it out because, in the last election, everybody voted. I voted, you voted. The doctors who are on strike, they voted. We know their political, colorations, and some of them, the leadership, we know their political colorations. And some of them, are founding fathers of political parties and that kind of members of political parties.
I see.
Some of them, some we've been told contested elections and lost, contested primaries on the ticket of certain political parties. But that is not the issue.
Give me a name. Give me a name.
The issue is that, they think that they are fighting for what they are entitled to. Fine, nobody's saying no. I mean, because as long as they are offering services to the nation in the form of medical, services, they are entitled because he who works must. But you cannot determine what you are entitled to because you are not striking because you have not been paid. Your salaries have been paid. Your allowances have been paid. We are talking about market premium. And you cannot determine what your market premium is. That should be the responsibility of your employer. And it has been determined. The Labour Commission has accepted it. Your employer accepted it. The ruling was that it must be paid in 3. Why do you continue? And then why should somebody come to the studio and say that the indiscipline on the part of medical doctors who have refused to allow institutions of state to run is because of corruption?
How then do you explain the lack of funds in the kitty to pay these doctors? Because that's what the finance minister has said.
I have worked with the Internal Revenue Service for a very long time, more than 15 years. At the beginning of every quarter, it is very difficult for, the Ghana Revenue Authority, which is saddled with the, responsibility of collecting revenue to meet all these, demands and requirements, to have so much. The accumulation of revenue gathers momentum after the second quarter. You understand it? So in the first quarter, when no businesses are being, businesses are taking place, people pay taxes on income earned on quarterly basis. And in every year, we have 4 quarters. So that whatever income you have earned, at the end of the first quarter, which is 31st March, will be assessed and paid on it. We are in March. When all these things are started, there has not been any assessment on anybody. Income pay, revenue, tax payment have been at its lowest ebb. So that is a problem. Like it's been explained yesterday, it is not that the country is so broke. It is because in the first quarter, as in every economy, revenue generation is always a problem.
And my final question on this very subject, you've said, government had said that the strike by the doctors is illegal. You are clearly a party in this whole affair. Why can't you petition the Labour Commission to go to court and compel the doctors, based on the law, to return to work or abide by the ruling that they delivered?
My brother, I will tell you something. My senior knows very well that this matter is pending before the court. Now, in last year, when the doctors went on strike, I brought an action in my personal capacity, which was challenged because that the doctors in the affidavit stated very clearly that if there is any dispute or if there is anybody or any institution which will take up the issue of their going on strike, it must be the National Labour Commission. Now, the matter went to, what they call it, the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court asked the High Court to rule on the matter. And the High Court ruled just about 4 months ago that I have the capacity to initiate this action. But what the High Court did not grant me was the injunction which I was asking for to stop the doctor from going on strike. So this matter is pending.
I see.
In the High Court. Why should they go on strike when they know that there's a matter pending as to whether their actions last year is not in violation of the national labor laws of this country? That matter is pending. Even of gross indiscipline.
I see.
And I filed, application in court for a repeat application for the injunction which was denied me, based on the present circumstances, and I'm advising myself as to whether I should not cite them for contempt.
Okay.
Clearly, this is very, very, this is an illegal action, and it is an action which marks act of indiscipline and total disrespect for the cause of the land and for the justice system.
Okay, final question on the court case as far as the challenge of the 2012 election results are concerned. Tuesday is the D-Day. Are you ready?
More than ready.
We understand you received all the documents from the MPP yesterday or so evening. Boxes.
Not as I speak of, not all processes that they claim happen in the 11,000 police station or so have been served on us. We have been partially served. And then, the Supreme Court directive was that, when service have been effected on us by the processes, through the processes, we have 5 clear days. So obviously, if you are saying that, we have been served yesterday, which is not the case, but then I'm saying that we'll be partially served. Then we have 5 clear days to effect the service, and that will be done as soon as possible. We are more than ready.
Thank you very much, sir, for your time. That's Chris Akume. He's a member of the NDC legal team. A number of issues he raised. We'll come to the case at the Supreme Court shortly. But he says, pretty serious allegation there, that some MPP elements are behind the doctors' strike. He actually he didn't give me a name, but saying that he knows people in the leadership of the doctors who are actually contested on tickets of some political parties before. How do you respond to that?
You see, it is this kind of propaganda that we always complain about. Doctors, I have told you, are one of the few intelligent people we can have in the society. And to tell them that they don't know when to go on strike and they don't know what they require, as an association, is to belittle them. But as you do this, you play to the gallery and let the gallery feel that, well, we are playing politics, and that is the MPP that is making the government ungovernable and letting things look that hard. Then one will ask about the water and the electricity. What hand do we have in this doomsaw situation? What hand do we have in no water situation? It is the upshot of all these things that is making the country look a little, as it were, as if we don't have a government in place. So can he also say that we have not made it possible for everybody to have electricity? I have my offices around Latabia. We've not had water since December. Since December, water has not flowed anywhere there. So why are we also behind it? So if you don't manage, and I like to draw his attention to Article 36 of the Constitution Directive Principle, which states that the state shall take all necessary action to ensure that the national economy is managed in such a manner as to maximize the rate of economic development and to secure the maximum welfare, freedom, and happiness of every person in Ghana, and to provide adequate means of livelihood and suitable employment and public assistance to the needy. They should be looking at some of these things. That is a responsibility of the state, and they are failing in that duty. People are not happy generally with what is happening all over the place. We are now being told about even increases in tariffs. The government appears to be ready to allow these increases to take place. Between me and you, do you think that around this time we should be talking about increase in tariffs?
The party issued a statement this week. Was that genuine, asking the doctors to go back to work?
Why not? I mean, it's genuine because we are dealing with human lives. We are saying that if you are not working, then in fact and indeed what you are doing will, affect the lives of people. So reconsider your position. If need be, go back, And if the doctors refuse to go, like somebody put it, it's like the old adage of saying you can force the horse to the riverside, but you cannot force it to drink. So I don't think that he could put anything on us. He knows that the Labour Commission has a right to go and enforce its rulings in court. So why is the Labour Commission itself not going? And then you are leaving it to Chris Akume, a known NDC activist, to be doing this. If you do this as an individual, though we know you're callous, it makes it a little difficult for people who are dealing with you to think that you are being fair, or you're being patriotic. They think that it's just one of the tricks that, if you like, they play by asking others to go and putting him as a front person to go and, as it were, try and create problems for doctors and let them feel, that bad. But, when things are generally not working the way they ought to work, no matter the propaganda, I mean, people are not feeling happy in this country. They think that there's something wrong, It's a matter of the meat having left, and the bones are left out after the meat has been taken away. So we need to look at those issues seriously.
On the case of the Supreme Court challenge of the 2012 election results, he says, this is news to me, that as far as they're concerned, they've partially received the documents from you.
As far as I'm concerned, there's a double speak, because we just heard from Adawudu, who says, look, we've received everything. The president's team has also received their, so I don't know, sometimes you leave this thing to the team in court. They know more. We are in the background, we assist. So he may be in the background, and maybe Adawudu, who is always in court, may have a better view of the matter than he has, because from what we are told, what was filed on Sunday was not up to it. But this afternoon, the rest had gone.
But if you look at the volume of documents you're talking about, 5 days between now and Tuesday, is it realistic for the party, the respondents, to adequately respond?
Well, I think we've all known what the issues are. I mean, that should be at the back of the minds of the lawyers. We are looking at what corruption, or what is it, omissions and
overvoting in certain circumstances,
whatever, statutory, breaches and all that. So you know what we are talking about. I do not think that if we were able to meet the deadline, I don't see why they would tell us they are not going to meet it. I mean, the EC tried to go ask for extension of time. They said, no, go and do it within the period. We are all looking at the Kenyan experience, and it's now becoming a border.
Is that a fair comparison, though?
Yes, because our constitutional provisions, as I was reported in a statesman the other time, if you look at Article 64(2), we thought it was good at the start, in view of the fact that we did not want to create a vacuum. So maybe the drafters thought that a declaration by the court that the election of the president is not valid shall be without prejudice to anything done by the president before the declaration. In other words, that he could continue, he could be sworn in and all that. But you begin to feel that this provision really needs to be looked at again. If we have an even keel, if nobody is in charge, if nobody is appointing ministers, nobody is appointing service commanders, nobody is preparing budget and the rest, and then you have, say, the Speaker of Parliament who acts as president until the case is over, I believe that we would go faster. But with this kind of situation where we are enjoying, people are taking offices, there are reshuffles, and including service commanders being changed here and there, promotions in the police service, I mean, when you do this sort of thing and you are seen to be in charge, clearly, why do you want to hurry to go do anything which may, at the end of the day, perhaps even affect your standing? So we need to look at this as provision again, that perhaps there will be no vacuum in any case created at all. In the absence of the president and vice president, the speaker is there. So if you have a speaker, let him do, normal work of a president, of just accepting, if you like, envoys and things and, signing whatever, getting the government to go on without necessarily taking, policy decisions, like when they themselves say that, look, continue to act in the position, but don't take any policy decision.
Let me say that will lead to frivolous applications before the court because people deliberately want to enjoy from the vacuum. People thrive on that.
No, I don't think so. I mean, when 500 or so people decided to join, what happened? The Supreme Court told them, no way, we can't have that. When are we going to finish taking evidence from 500 people? It means this case will never be heard. So I do not think, if the application is frivolous, it's frivolous. And the laws are said that we are to, act rather in a very, expeditious manner to sit day to day, including even weekends and public holidays. It's rather the processes of filing the petitions and the answers and the rest that appear to have taken a little time.
So you believe once you start on Tuesday?
And I also believe that the joinder of the NDC was most unnecessary. You see, this is the government in power, and then the party comes and says, I want to join. He's allowed to join. He's enjoying the benefits of whatever that gentleman is doing. Sorry, the president is doing. What it means, therefore, is that they also wanted to, see to the delay in getting this matter, quickly, resolved. So if you look at the Kenyan situation, it's like we are not going to swear you in. We want to finish before it is done. As a result, it was done quickly. That is a look. We have confirmed your results. Go and have him, properly inaugurated into office.
Thank you very much for joining us. And that's the former Attorney General, Mr. Ayiko, who is the chairman of the NPP Constitutional Committee as well, a stalwart of the NPP. He joined us in the studio. On the line, I'm sure you recall, Chris Akume is a member of the NDC legal team. My name is Evan Spencer. Next week, you want to join us again. By then, we would have had a few days of Supreme Court action. Then we'll know what is it that we are looking at as far as the speed of the process is concerned and the key issues that are coming forward as far as the case is concerned. Join me then for more from Joint Caucus.